Hello, and welcome to a Pikachu line only challenge. Now, when I was doing the Kanto starters, I completely forgot that Pokemon Yellow existed. So, I didn't even consider that Pikachu was technically a starter. So, to fix that mistake, I have decided to come back around and go and get Pikachu. And we're going to treat this just like the other starters. We're going to start from Pichu and work our way up to Raichu. So, let's just go and get right into it. For base stats, Raichu has 60 HP, 90 attack, 55 defense, 90 special attack, 80 special defense, and 100 speed. It gets access to mostly normal and electric type moves, but it also gets some fighting, a steel type move, and even a dark type move. Now, something you might notice right here is that I have them split up into Pichu, Pikachu, and Raichu categories. And usually I wouldn't do this, but these Pokemon are so distinct from each other that I think it warranted it, because we're dealing with a stone evolution, meaning that you really don't get any moves after you evolve with a stone. And then Pichu was a second generation Pokemon, so its moveset varies differently from Pikachu's. So I thought I'd just go ahead and combine them here. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. The first thing to note is that Raichu has a distinct advantage over many other Pokemon because it is a stone evolution Pokemon, meaning that we can just get the stone right here, right at the beginning of the game. So we can evolve it whenever we feel like it. But before we can get to that, we must first have our Eevee. It has a hasty nature, raising our speed but lowering our defense, which is probably the worst nature it could have had. It gets the static ability, which paralyzes things whenever it hits us with a physical move. And these are the moves on Bulbapedia that I found that it gets by level 10. It's Thunder Shock, Tail Whip, Charm, and Thunder Wave. But for base stats, it has 20 HP, 40 attack, 15 defense, 35 special attack, 35 special defense, and 60 speed. So this might be a tough start. And right off the bat, we are finding that out pretty quickly because this guy has a Nummel, which is completely immune to my electric type attacks, and I have no moves that can actually hit it. So I go over to the tutor lady, and the first thing I'm thinking of is I'll grab the move Mimic. It can take a Pokemon's move, the last move your opponent used, and it becomes your move. So maybe that'll help. So I go back into the battle with Mimic and realize that Mimic doesn't actually take all the PP of the move, so I only had 5 uses of it, and I ran out fairly quickly. So that didn't work, so I went back over to the tutor lady once again, and this time I'm getting Seismic Toss, a set damage move based on your Pokemon's level. Now this does have the adverse effect of my Pokemon has to be higher level for this to be actually effective, but at this point in the game, Pichu levels up fairly quickly, and there's plenty of trainers around that I can fight to try to get those levels as well. Seismic Toss is actually doing quite a bit of damage, and I am able to take down the Nummel and this trainer with relative ease. However, this doesn't look to be a very good start for the run if I can't even beat the first trainer in this cave. So, moving right along, we actually managed to make it to Egan with no issues. And he is the Pikachu trainer, the champion of Pokemon with a Pikachu, so it feels only right to take him down and show it on here. Now luckily, the Pikachu is attacking the Teddiursa, so I'm not actually taking any damage here. Pikachu actually takes out the Teddiursa, unfortunately, meaning that I'm going to have to be able to survive an attack, because Seismic Toss isn't going to do enough. And I do. So I'm able to take it down this turn and beat the Master Pikachu Trainer. Now one thing to note, usually this is the part of the video where I would just start talking about stuff. But actually Pichu is so weak at this point that I actually lose this fight on the first turn from full health. So yeah, we have to evolve into a Pikachu. And so I started leveling up over at Mount Battle. And after a few levels, I started thinking about it and looked it up, and apparently Pichu is a friendship evolution. Now what that means is that I have to run a marathon in order for it to evolve. So after doing that for about 20 minutes, I decided I don't want to do this anymore, so I cheated. Okay, I cheated. He'd already paid a 20-minute toll on his time. So I went ahead and just raised his friendship up, and now we are able to get a Pikachu without wasting too much time. And with a new Pokemon means new stats. So, for base stats, Pikachu has 35 HP, 55 attack, 30 defense, 50 special attack, 40 special defense, and 90 speed. Which isn't a huge upgrade, but it'll definitely make some fights a little better. So now we're going to fight the water type trainer to just show how much better Pikachu is now. So here is this part where I will start rambling now. Honestly, if you have any tips or tricks on this game that I'm not aware of, please let me know down below, because I would like to make some of my gameplay a little better. Like, I think I'm certainly doing fine, but if I could get some Pokemon to be exponentially faster, that'd be cool to know. On top of that, if you are enjoying these videos, please comment down below a Pokemon you'd like to see. At the moment, I only have one more Pokemon lined up at the moment, and I'm currently working on that video. And, hey, while you're down there, you could subscribe, or maybe just like the video if you like it. But, anyway, with Thundershock, I'm able to take down the blue trainer, and we're just going to move right along inside the building. And now, here at level 26, we learn the move Thunderbolt, the best electric type attack basically in the game, because you don't have to risk missing. And we're going to teach that immediately. And now that we have Thunderbolt, C-Dot. Now that we have Thunderbolt, we can evolve our Pikachu into Raichu, because that was really the only thing holding us back, was I wanted to have Thunderbolt before I evolved. Otherwise, we have to wait until about 3/4 into the game, instead of a quarter. And all this was because of this guy. Surprisingly, it's just a random trainer in the halls of the Cypher base. But he was so strong that Pikachu basically couldn't take him down. And the reason being is that the Voltorb over there has Sonic Boom, and because Pikachu has a pretty low base HP, it just couldn't take very many of them. And on top of that, its Thunderbolts just weren't doing a ton of damage. The Ralts would set up Reflect or Light Screen, and had the move Confusion, which didn't happen very much, but you can get confused by the move Confusion. Numel here, completely immune to my electric type attacks, so I had to be using Seismic Toss. So I wasn't doing that much damage. And as you can see there, Shadow Rush actually did quite a big chunk there, and it was doing way more against Pikachu. Now it's just the Bagon left to resist electric type moves, so I decided to use Thunderbolt anyway because it's not all that strong, but still, it's kind of a nuisance. But after him, no other Cypher people really gave me an issue. So here we are at the boss of the area, Lavrina. Now luckily I'm an electric type, so I can actually take down one of her lead Pokemon right off the bat with very little issue. But then she sends out Roselia. Now I decided to go for Thunderbolt here anyway, just because it is my strongest move. I get a Lucky Paralysis, so maybe the Leech Seed won't actually hit. And it does. Okay. Well, that could be a death sentence, but maybe I'll be able to take it out in time. So I go for Thunderbolt. And Roselia goes down. And now it really is a question of whether or not I can take down her Delcatty in a single hit. This thing is pretty tanky, so I'm kind of doubting it. Love Disc is doing very little damage. Leech Seed is sapping my health, and because Delcatty took the position of the Roselia, it takes the Leech Seed. Oh, I got a crit. Okay. Well, I guess I don't have to worry about whether or not I hit the damage range or not. Thunderbolt is able to take down the Love Disc, and I beat Lavrina first try, with a little luck. And now moving right along, what's a Pokemon XD Gala Darkness video without the obligatory Mirror B? Except Mirabee is actually kind of useful this time because his Voltorb that I can catch is holding a magnet, which will raise my electric-type moves up by 10%. So my damage is going to be a little better. And what am I doing here? Well, if you get past the first level here, you get the move Brick Break, which is just a decent fighting-type move that I'm going to teach so I can hit other Pokemon. And then here we are at the Pokemart, where I'm going to pick up my two favorite TMs, Protect and Hidden Power. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, our Hidden Power type is Grass, which is really good against Snaddle. So we use Hidden Power right off the bat to take down his Quagsire, which is really nice. And then he brings out his Lunatone. Now I'm not sure if a Thunderbolt or a Hidden Power do more damage against it, but I decide... oh, Lucky Paralysis. But I decide to use Hidden Power anyway. And it's not quite a one-shot. A little unfortunate, but I guess it could be worse. A Lucky Paralysis on there. Fruity Pebbles rain from the sky. I go for another Hidden Power. And I take down the Lunatone. Now out comes Castform, who really isn't that big of a threat. And the Fruity Pebbles come down, doing just a little bit of damage to everything. Now I decide to go for Thunderbolt to take it down anyway, because Lantern might have Volt Absorb, I don't remember. Out comes Matang. Lantern uses Facade, which is doing more damage because it is paralyzed. Which is a little unfortunate, but honestly, I'll take the bit extra damage, just so it doesn't move sometimes. Now I use Thunderbolt into Matang to take it down. And luckily it goes down in a single hit. I level up a bit, another Facade. And at this point, I have to gamble on whether or not it is a Thunderbolt or not. I decide to take the risk, and luckily it didn't have Volt Absorb, and I beat Snaddle first try. So we go back to the Tutor Lady again. I love her this run apparently, and I pick up the best normal type move, Body Slam. So now I can spread paralysis with many moves. And with that, and one other change I made that I forgot to record, I have now hurt myself quite a bit. So you see the move Swagger there, and the reason I teach Swagger is for something later, but more importantly, I replaced Hidden Power with Swagger, which I thought at the time wasn't really that big of a deal. I can always buy Hidden Power again, but I don't really have the want to, and I think I can probably take him down anyway. Oh, and this guy's whole thing is Hyper Beam. He loves Hyper Beam. Anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal, right? Okay, well that's a little unfortunate. Sleep Powder. Luckily in this game you can hit the call action and wake up from sleep on the second turn. Hyper Beam comes out, still doing quite a bit of damage to me. Sweet Scent lowers my evasiveness, making Hyper Beams basically 100% accurate. So I'm able to take down the Vileplume. So this is going fairly well, and Nuzleaf can't do enough damage to take me out without a crit. And then I forgot he had Whiscash. If I had kept Hidden Power, I could have one-shot it, but instead I have to take 2 hits to take it down. And in this first attempt, I'm able to, surprisingly. It didn't go for anything that could take me down. Rock Tomb's not really that bad, so I'm able to take down the Whiscash. But now his last Pokemon comes out, and I am dead. Because Skarmory, I might be able to take down in a single hit, but also Nuzleaf is there to back him up. So I take down the Nuzleaf, maybe the Skarmory misses, but yeah, wasn't looking too likely. So I lose the first attempt. So unfortunately, I also went on to lose my second and third attempt, and it's just because if I were to replace Swagger again with Hidden Power, I would lose access to the move Swagger which would hurt me down the line. Trust me, I know it doesn't really make any sense right now, but it is very important. Anyway, you can see there, I'm just checking my moves to see what would do more damage against the Electrode. Technically, Hidden Power has better damage, but in my last couple of attempts, doing that risks being paralyzed, so it's not a great spot to be in. Still can't one-shot the Vileplume. Sleep Powder actually misses this time, which is very nice. And Body Slam is able to take it down. And then out comes the Whiscash once again. And as you can see, I'm already level 50, and I'm only about halfway through the game, so that's always a good sign. Anyway, a Body Slam will take it down under half. Now if I could get a Rock Tomb miss, or a Paralysis, nope, it goes for Hyper Beam. And now I'm at about a quarter health. I go for Brick Break to take down the Nuzleaf this turn because it is going to use Hyper Beam. And the Whiscash is recharging, so I can get a bit more healing out. And I decide to go ahead and take down the Whiscash. I know it's got a 25% chance to miss, but also I think it's just a little stronger than Skarmory is. And yeah, Skarmory's not all that strong, so it's not able to take me down, and a Thunderbolt should do it. Okay, a critical hit is nice, but with that, we win. And here is where Swagger comes in handy, because I was reading online, apparently Swagger can hit Shedinja. So, I found my new strat to taking down Shedinja with a Pokemon who can't hit it. Unfortunately, it does have to hit itself in Confusion, so it is a bit risky. At the top of the tower, I'm actually going to teach Protect over that move, over Swagger, because I no longer need it. It's not necessary for any other battles. And so we go right on to the Gorgon fight. And this guy loves Earthquake. It's his favorite move. So I decide to take down the Celio turn 1 when it was about to use Earthquake. And then out comes Slowking. And now I go for Protect. Lairon uses Earthquake, doing a little bit of damage to Slowking. Slowking uses Water Pulse. And I go for a Thunderbolt on the Slowking now. And take it down in a single hit. Out comes his Ursaring, which is always a bit of a threat, so I go for Protect. Ursaring goes for Slash, and Lairon is always going to use Earthquake because it's super effective against Raichu. Meaning that it's always going to be doing damage to its partner. But I decide to take down the Lairon anyway, and apparently I made the right choice because Ursaring protected. Out comes Primeape, his first Shadow Pokemon, and it can be a bit of a threat. Now I decide to take down the Primeape with the Thunderbolt, and here's where I learned that Ursaring also has Earthquake. He brings out Hypno, and I don't think I knew that at the time, and that does over half to me. So now, Ursaring is definitely the biggest threat on the field. Shadow Down is just going to lower my defense. It decides to go for Brick Break that turn, which is very strange. And so I take down the Ursaring, because it can one-shot me from at this health. And then it's just Hypno, who surprisingly uses Shadow Down again, which doesn't really do anything for it, and I'm able to take it down this turn, and beat Gorgon first try. So that's pretty good. So here we are, with my Hot Rod, that we're going to drive over to the Citadark Isle, and go take down the final area of the game. So this might go well, or it might not. So anyway, the first trainer we fight here is Lovrina once again. I'm able to take down her Gorbis right off the bat because it is the opposite gender of mine, and I really don't want to get hit with Attract. Gardevoir uses Psychic, surprisingly very little damage, but I do get a special defense drop. Now I do decide to take down the Gardevoir now anyway. I do get a crit, not sure if that was necessary or not, but definitely felt good. Out comes Farfetch'd, who is her first Shadow Pokemon, and it has a move that can confuse you, called Shadow Panic. so it's always a bit of a threat if you see it hit the field. So I'm going to take it down immediately. And then out comes her second Shadow Pokemon, which is Shadow Altaria. Now this thing really only uses Shadow Rush, which is a physical move, so it is going to be doing quite a bit of damage to Raichu. But I think it should be able to take one, so I decided to take down the Roselia so I don't lose health to Leech Seed anymore. Or sorry, Shadow Break, not Shadow Rush. And yeah, it's able to take one, and it might even take a second one. So I decided to protect here anyway, just to make sure I can survive that second one. And I go for Thunderbolt. And yeah, not quite a one-shot. Shadow Break takes me down to 19 health. A lucky paralysis, but not really that big a deal. And Altaria goes down, so I beat Lavrina first try. And at the top of the mountain, I run into Snaddle once again. And you might be thinking, maybe I should have taught Hidden Power again to deal with the Quagsire. And yeah, maybe I should have. But I do have a plan for a future fight that I don't really want to replace any moves with Hidden Power right now. So anyway, I take down the Quagsire on the second turn. And then out comes Scizor, which may or may not really be a threat. Matang uses Psychic. As long as it doesn't get a special defense drop, it should be fine. I can take those all day. Now, I use Protect here because Scizor is just going to be spamming Silver Wind, and I don't want it to get a massive boost on all of its stats. It's only a 10% chance, but also it's happened many a time. I am able to actually take down Scizor in a single hit, though. Out comes Solrock, which is his first Shadow Pokemon. And it, just like Lunatone, is going to set up Shadow Sky on the first turn, so I want to take it down as soon as possible. So I use Thunderbolt into it, and take it down. And then out comes Castform. Now, Castform before wasn't all that big of a threat, but this time it kinda can be. And that's because it has the move Flamethrower on top of Weather Ball, and as you can see there. And if you get burnt, you start losing health at a pretty decent rate. I think it's about an eighth. I'm actually able to take down Matang with a single Thunderbolt. And then out comes his last Pokemon, which is a Shadow Starmie. And this thing is always a threat, because if it outspeeds you, you can take a lot of damage real fast. So I go for Protect, Shadow Storm, Flamethrower. As long as I outspeed, I think I win. And I do. So I take down the Starmie. And then the Castform's Flamethrowers can't do enough damage to take me out, even with a crit. So I'm able to take it down and beat Snaddle on the first attempt as well. Not bad. Except here's where things start to fall apart. So he starts with a Swallow and an Alakazam. Ardos does. And I'm able to take down the Alakazam in a single hit. Out comes his Kingdra. Swallow will almost always set up Shadow Sky the first turn. So I decide to protect this turn, just to wait out a Shadow Sky, because it's going to last for 4 or 5 turns anyway. If I can stall it a bit, I can actually get some healing later down in the fight. So I go for a Thunderbolt to take out the Swallow. And it goes down in a single hit, and then out comes his Heracross. Kingdra uses Hydro Pump, doing quite a large chunk of damage. I didn't think it'd do that much. And because Raichu is very physically frail, I do have to be weary of Heracross, because it does have some pretty strong stab physical moves. Kingdra, on the other hand, is only using Hydro Pump, which isn't good, but I can definitely take a few of those. So I decided to take out Heracross here. And then here comes Electabuzz, definitely the biggest thorn in Raichu's side. Because Raichu just doesn't really have any moves that can do effective damage to it other than Body Slam, and unfortunately, Electabuzz has the static ability. Which means that any physical moves I use, aka Body Slam here, is going to be putting me in a spot where I could get paralyzed. Which isn't ideal. Now, I do actually make it to the last Pokemon, the Snorlax. That's an unfortunate crit on this attempt, but as you can see, I'm already sitting pretty low now. And Electabuzz really isn't doing anything at the moment, but the Snorlax is going to be spamming Shadow End, the strongest Shadow move in the game, just on base damage. Shadow Mist isn't going to do anything, but I'm going to get hit by the Shadow End here, and I'm going to lose. So, not bad for a first attempt, but definitely could have been better. So, with that being said, on attempt number 10, I'm able to take him down. Yeah, so, I did get fairly lucky on the first battle. As you may have seen, I got a couple crits, and a few Pokemon actually acted in a way that I would have expected. Except here we are now. As you can see, I'm quite a bit higher leveled, and the Swallow is now using Shadow Half, but not always on the second turn, not always on the third turn, and not always on the fourth turn. So many of those attempts prior to this were trying to get the Swallow to use Shadow End against bigger threats like Electabuzz or Heracross. But it didn't ever work out like that, which is a bit unfortunate. If I could maybe have had it follow me all the way to Snorlax, that would have been better. But I just couldn't get the luck to line up. And on top of that, Electabuzz also has Shadow Half, meaning that it could technically do the job for me, but it just was never willing to do it. So, anyway, I never actually got to have the perfect scenario come out. Body Slam does actually take down Electabuzz now, but unfortunately I do get paralyzed. But I'm down to his last two Pokemon, and strangely enough, Heracross only seems to be interested in lowering my speed. So, I guess that's good. Fruity Pebbles have stopped falling, and now I'm going to use Brick Break against the Snorlax, because it is my strongest hitting move. And yeah, quite a few attempts earlier, that Shadow End probably almost would have killed me. Now it's only doing a little over half. So I'm able to take down the Snorlax, and after just, a paralysis. After just a couple turns, we're able to take down Heracross, and we take down Ardos. Okay. Oh, okay. Calm down, Heracross. We take down Ardos. He took that personally. Anyway, we move right along to Gorgon, who is the same fight basically as before. He's upgraded his Pokemon. He's now got an Aggron instead of a Lairon. But nothing's really changed. I did mess up there. I should have attacked the Ursaring, but oh well. It shouldn't really be that big a deal. I decided to go for Brick Break again to take down the Aggron, because they're just going to keep swapping back and forth. Both have Earthquake. Walrein comes out. I decide to use Thunderbolt into it to take it down. Yes. I don't know why I had to think about that. I knew it was going to come. Anyway, out comes his first Shadow Pokemon, which is Poliwrath. This, like many others, its only job really is to get Shadow Storm up on the field. And that's an unfortunate crit. Okay, well now I think I have to heal this turn, but I'll give it a try anyway. Ursaring goes down. Out comes Shadow Sky, and Mr. Mime, his second Shadow Pokemon. But I think my health might be a little too low to actually survive, and now I'm not healing anymore either. And they're both going to start spamming Shadow Storms at me. and I'm most likely not going to survive. So I decide to just get the experience from Poliwrath. And not quite a level up. Maybe I could have survived with a level up, but Shadow Storm comes out and takes me down for our first loss against Gorgon. So, moving right along, I fight Gorgon again, and I'm just going to speed up the footage, because honestly, this battle is basically the same as the last battle, just I actually know who to attack in the right order now. But this is basically kind of whatever. I do get a crit there, which is kind of nice, but I'm not sure if it was necessary at all. Walrein uses Ice Beam on me, luckily no freeze. I take down the Walrein. And because I'm at such a high health, I don't really need to fear Shadow Storm anymore. Or the Shadow Sky, so I just let him set it up. I'm able to take down the Poliwrath in a single hit. Mr. Mime, I'm not quite sure on, and Mr. Mime actually does quite a bit of damage with that. And I am able to take it down, so that's pretty good. And we move on to Eldis, who is another very difficult fight. I am able to take down the Manectric in a single hit, but also every time I do that, I do risk getting staticked. And on top of that, Ninjask is a weird Pokemon, because depending on your type, it will either use Dig, Aerial Ace, or Silver Wind. And sometimes it will use Protect, depending on its PP or your Pokemon type as well. So you kinda have to go into the first fight not really knowing what it's gonna do if you haven't really dealt with the type that it's against. And I've only ever used Jolteon as an electric type on this battle, so I'm still not quite used to what he does. Anyway, so I'm already about half health, so I decide to protect this turn to make sure I don't get hit by Dig. And Flygon is just going to spam Double Edge, so it's not really a threat, but also I can work around the Ninjask's digs much better than I can the Flygon's constant damage, so I decide to take down Flygon. And then out comes Marowak. Now this thing is a huge threat. It has the Thick Club item, which doubles its attack stat. Not doubles its damage, doubles its attack stat. So, if it hits me with a move, I'm basically dead, because my physical defense isn't all that high. And as you can see, I'm not doing half damage with Body Slam on Marowak, which is kind of unfortunate. I get a second one. Lucky Paralysis, but he didn't like that, and I survived with 3 HP. Okay, so it can nearly one-shot me from full health. And to be fair, I could have gotten a low range there. So on this attempt, I am actually able to take down the Marowak, and then out comes the Lapras, which is going to set up Shadow Storm on the first turn. Which is a little unfortunate because I really want some health. So, I decide to risk it. Maybe Ninjask isn't all that strong. Okay, Ninjask is a little strong. So after a couple of attempts, I decided I'm going to reteach Hidden Power. And that's just to deal with the Marowak. And honestly, Brick Break really isn't going to do anything for the rest of the game, other than maybe Rhydon, but I can deal with him anyway. So, going back into it, Body Slam into the Manectric. No static, which is lucky. Out comes Salamence, his first Shadow Pokemon. Ninjask is always going to spam Dig from here on out, so I don't need to worry about it most of the time. I am actually able to take down the Salamence in a single hit. Out comes Flygon once again. Now it is part ground type, otherwise I would just hit it with Thunderbolt. So I'm going to use Body Slam on it. And if I get another Lucky Paralysis, that'd be great. I don't, but that's alright. Body Slam, or Double Edge, still isn't really doing that much damage. I go for another Protect to not get hit by Dig. And one more Body Slam should take down the Flygon. And then out comes his greatest threat, which is the Marowak, once again. And we can see how much hidden power is going to do against it after we protect one more turn. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay, I remembered. Yeah, I thought I just left myself wide open there. Okay, anyway, hidden power is going to do all of its health. Okay, so Marowak now is gone and not really an issue at all. Out comes Lapras, which is going to set up Shadow Sky, but that's alright, we're at full health. So I decided to just go ahead and take down the Ninjask here, because now that it's out of the hole, I can actually take it down. And on top of that, if for whatever reason I do get taken down fairly low by Lapras, I don't need to worry about Diggs coming in and hurting me even more. So, only one turn to Shadow Sky, and I should be able to take it down right here. And just like that, we beat Eldis on the 4th attempt, which is pretty good. And of course, before we can get to the final boss of the game, we have to beat the big box legendary, Shadowlugia, which, yeah, not really that big a threat. I did get a crit, but still, not really that big a threat. And then we go on to the final battle. Moltres and Rhydon are the leads, both Shadow. In fact, his entire team is Shadow Pokemon. Maybe we'll take down Moltres with a single Thunderbolt. Out comes Executor, who is a bit of a threat because I don't actually have anything to hit it very well. So I decide to use Hidden Power into Rhydon to see how much it does, and it takes it down in a single hit, which is nice. Out comes Tauros. This thing always sets up Shadow Sky the first turn, so it's not really a threat right off the bat, but also if we want to preserve our health, we probably want to take it down as quick as possible, so I do just that. Tauros goes down, and then out comes Articuno. And from this point on, we're playing the gambling game with Executor. It's a 50-50 shot on whether or not he hits us, so we just need to believe. And I'm able to take down Articuno in a single Thunderbolt, so now we're down to the last Pokemon on the first attempt. Okay, it's going fairly well. Another Shadow End, as long as he doesn't get a crit. Yeah, I'm still sitting at a pretty decent health. And he's paralyzed? Okay. Maybe we'll be able to first try this? Oh, that'd be awesome if we did. Okay, another Thunderbolt. Okay, that's very close. Okay, Executor miss. It did. Okay, so I'm able to take down the Zapdos, but I need to protect one turn. Hopefully just get a little bit more health. Okay, the Executor actually did get paralysis just on that turn, which is a little unfortunate because I would have rather it been this turn. And a Shadow End, it takes us down. Okay, well, that seems to be a good idea. So let's go and move right along and Rhydon's Lightning Rod ability. Huh? Since when does it have that? So, from here on out, I can't use Thunderbolt anymore, and I don't know why that is. Because I did try Thunderbolt a couple more times and I kept getting the Lightning Rod ability, but on that first attempt, as you saw, he didn't have Lightning Rod. So if you have any idea why that might have been, leave it down in the comments below, because I actually do want an explanation for that, whether or not his ability just swaps, or if he always has Lightning Rod and for some reason there's a glitch. So if you know what's going on with that, write it down in the comments below, because I'd really like to know. Because this took Raichu from a first or second try victory to a... hold on, let me check my notes. A 7-try victory. Which is very unfortunate, because it did lose quite a bit of time because of the Lightning Rod ability and its sudden showing up. Anyway, this is the final battle. So, Thunderbolt's still going to take down the Articuno right off the bat. And then out comes the Zapdos, which we are now 3 levels higher. We should be able to one-shot with Thunderbolt, as long as Shadow Wind doesn't do too much, which it's doing about a third now instead of, you know, almost half. Another Shadow Wind. Now I go for Thunderbolt here. And yeah, able to take down the Zapdos. Only needed a few more levels for that. And one less Thunderbolt should take down the Executor. And that's Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness with Raichu line complete. Now, with that being said, I will say Raichu, all 3 of them have their issues. All the Pikachus. Pichu is very, very frail, doesn't really do that much damage, and its move pool is lacking. However, it does get Thunder Shock right at the beginning, which is really nice. Pikachu has all the moves, basically, that Raichu wants. So you have to delay Raichu's evolution until Pikachu gets Thunderbolt at level 26, meaning that some of it is just pointless grinding for the sake of getting Thunderbolt, because I couldn't get past that one trainer. Maybe with a better nature it could have been done, but honestly Pikachu was just lacking in the defense and strength department. So yeah, and then there's Raichu. You really want Raichu as soon as possible, but it doesn't get any moves. Raichu itself is a pretty decent Pokemon. And with all that being said, it did actually perform right around the same as Mightyena did. It was just a little slower. So I decided to put them into the same tier. And yeah. It's a little unfortunate that for some reason Rhydon is weird. Otherwise, I think it probably could have been right on top of Mightyena. But hey, that's how these things go sometimes. And with that being said, if you like this video, hey, give it a like. If you want to see more of these, why don't you stick around and subscribe? And if you want, leave a Pokemon suggestion down below. I'd really like to hear any Pokemon, because at the moment, like I said, I only got 1 Pokemon currently in the works at the moment. And ooh, it's not terrible, but it's definitely a little annoying. So anyway, with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and bye.